As we begin March 2025, we've witnessed much larger volatility within the stock market and cryptocurrency, making investors panic that the stock market will continue to fall during 2025. 2024 was a great year to purchase and trim AI stocks, and I believe 2025 will be the same, although there will be a lot more volatility this year, mainly due to a new US president causing chaos within the markets. Welcome to my channel where you can watch my AI stocks, cryptocurrency, wealth building investment strategies and how I use these to beat inflation. At the end of the video, I'll give my thoughts on how I intend to take advantage of any investment opportunities this month. Trump is causing chaos within the markets by promoting fear and doubt with his aim to force the Fed to drop interest rates. Stick to the end of my video where I'll show you which stocks I've purchased during this uncertain but opportunist time. All that Trump is doing is accelerating the death of the dollar by withdrawing it from the world trade, removing the need for countries and companies to hold dollars. Thus, they'll switch to other currencies other than the dollar. However, AI will ensure America doesn't become a dead empire like Britain. The tariffs will hurt Canada economically, pushing them into a depression, forcing them to become the 51st state of America. Trump's objective is to use the presidency to increase his wealth and power. He looks at people or nations such as Ukraine, who are the weakest, with disdain. A means to an end, nothing more. The world is gearing up for the next inflation push higher, which Trump is adding fuel to with his tariffs, which means even higher than expected inflation is coming. US inflation is starting to pick up even before the Fed money printer begins again, as they have no choice as the budget deficit looks set to end 2025 at well over $2 trillion. Trump was lucky to have a great economy handed over by Biden, which I think will continue for the rest of 2025 before Trump crashes this down in 2026. While the US economy is going strong, I don't see why the Fed would start to cut interest rates, and inflation is starting to pick up again. But where Trump is concerned, the Fed will probably deliver a token 1 or 2 cuts this year so that Trump can declare victory over the Fed. My aim is to maintain exposure to the AI megatrend, which will mean preparing myself for the next bear market, with the objective not to sell all my AI stocks and then attempt to buy back at the lowest price, as I will only know how low the market will go with the benefit of hindsight. President Trump with his tariffs could cause issues with the AI supply chain, which would be at huge cost to the US and give advantage to China. COVID showed that supply chains are delicately balanced. Recent AI stock price action illustrates how the financial media focuses on the wrong events. For example, Nvidia correcting was accompanied with the release of DeepSeek, whilst the smart money was buying. The media are always in search of fear stories. It's just a case of whether the stock price will react to the media hysteria. In the age of inflation and AI, the risk is to the upside, and thus I will be focusing on my portfolio and not get carried away with the fears of the dips or even the market crashes, which will be temporary. As I mentioned in my February update, we're in for a volatile first few months of the Trump presidency, with multiple stock market shocks, which any one could send the stocks sharply lower, and I've been proven right. Although, as the market is still in a bull market, these lows should prove temporary. Thus, it's essential to keep maintaining exposure, despite all the fear from financial media companies. Some of these AI stocks have experienced bad news, which is great for me, as it means I get to buy them at discount prices, even in a bull market, using my unique take on dollar cost averaging strategy to accumulate positions. By using my buy targets and the company's earning potential as a guide to which AI stocks looks like great value, it has given me the opportunity to purchase great AI stocks such as Nvidia for little as $92. My primary focus is accumulating great AI stocks during any corrections, and later in the video I'll show you which AI stocks I've been able to purchase during the last month. This is why I do not read or watch any financial media press or TV channels, as they always advise the incorrect strategy for the financial markets. Their primary focus is to sell fear and panic so to maximize their own exposure and profits. My view for 2025 is that we're experiencing a correction within the market, removing most of the gains of 2025 that will allow people to believe that the bull market is over. which only means that 2025 is going to be a very volatile year. However, I think it will then move higher towards August, September to around 7,000 points before correcting sharply again into October, November. This should lead to a final surge above 7,100 to complete the year 2025. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is purely what I intend to do. During 2024, AI stocks broke out to trade to overvalued levels, which since then they've entered a period of consolidation as they've unwound their overvalued states before the next breakout higher. As I'm aware of this behaviour, I tend to trim the AI stocks that have become overvalued, for there are only two ways a stock valuation can improve. The stock price falls, or earnings play catch up while the stock price consolidates in a trading range. Next, I'll give a brief comment on to why I've continued to invest in the following AI stocks. After this, I'll show you my buying targets of these AI stocks, what my average price paid, and my asset exposure. Before I intend to make any asset purchase, I determine firstly how much risk or exposure I wish to have. This aids my unique take on dollar cost averaging by having an investment price target for each stock I wish to accumulate into. To learn more about this, watch my video Wealth Building Dollar Cost Averaging. My investment portfolio stands at 96% invested with 4% left in cash ready for any investment opportunities. Over 90% of AI systems are trained on NVIDIA chips. Intel and AMD alternatives just don't cut it. In the AI race, companies want the best, and NVIDIA are the best. I've been lucky to have opportunities this year to purchase some at discount prices from its all-time high. This, on top of the times during 2024, has enabled me to build a great position for the remainder of 2025. As I mentioned in my October and November update, I expect NVIDIA to reach $240 plus by the end of 2025. Therefore, I'll be careful about over-trimming NVIDIA, as this stock does not give many corrections to build a great position in. NVIDIA has experienced fantastic earnings growth since 2023 quarter one, from an EPS of 11 cents to 89 cents by the fourth quarter in 2024, an increase of 709% within 2 years. Its future earnings per share growth looks great as well, which should mean the stock trading at $180 over the next few months. This would be a 10x increase when the share price was trading at $16 during 2023. Since September 2024, Google has begun to trend higher from $150 to a high of $202, an increase of 33% within 4 months. Any drop to $166, I would purchase some more. Over 2024, the financial media have been talking down Google, which has affected the share price as investors have been fearful of purchasing the stock. This has now started to change with announcements in its quantum AI developments, which is an important milestone on the road to quantum AI before the end of this decade. It is a steady AI stock, not volatile like AMD or Nvidia, thus I'm unlikely to be trimming my exposure until nearer the bear market. Its price to earnings look cheap against other AI stocks, which should result in the share price climbing higher above $200. AMD is in a race with Nvidia and Intel to release new AI chips to power AI end-user computers. However, AMD is not superior to Nvidia. The only reason to buy AMD processors is because they're a lot better than Intel's. Whereas AMD's earnings have been good, they have not been good enough to justify the rally during 2024 to over $220, which I took full advantage of by trimming down my exposure. During the last couple of months, AMD has dropped below my buy target of $126, and I've been using my unique take on dollar cost averaging to build a bigger position, taking my exposure to over 100%. AMD's earnings haven't been great as the other AI stocks. However, I do believe that this will start to change as we progress through 2025. AMD seems to be trying to find the floor to the share price drop. Once this is complete, I believe it will start to rise above $160, which will give me an opportunity to trim my exposure below 100%. Microsoft has still been the hardest stock to accumulate into. It doesn't seem to give much of a buying opportunity. It is a steady-as-you-go stock that consistently delivers earnings growth. Its cloud computing is bringing in strong revenue and earnings growth. With the latest volatility in the markets, I've been able to purchase some of this stock for around $415 and below. Microsoft's earnings growth has been steady, and I believe this won't change for the future. The stock price has dropped since its high of $468, which I believe by the end of 2025 it will surpass this towards $500. Meta is one of the best AI stocks that I've invested in. Every time Meta looks like it's going to drop, it reverts higher to above $600. I've trimmed my Meta stock after buying large purchases during the drop in November 2022, and I look to accumulate a gain on any signs of weakness. Even during this stock market correction, this is hard to achieve. Since November 2022, Meta has had a spectacular bull run and refuses to drop despite being overextended. The reason for this can be seen in its high earnings growth. It consistently tends to beat earnings estimates. Thus, it is unlikely to deliver a buying opportunity as Meta, like Nvidia, is AI. Due to its earnings growth, I believe the stock will reach $800 this year. During 2024, I made huge profits with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. Having purchased the stock for an average price of $138, I was able to trim my exposure and then purchase the stock whenever it dropped, every time building my position to take even greater profits. You don't get that kind of return investing in index-only funds. AI computer chip demand is still strong and accelerating, so exposure to semiconductor companies like this is key to my investment strategy. This company has excellent revenue and earnings, which are growing at the rate of 20% per year, which should last for the next 5 years. This future growth should mean any drop in the stock price towards my buy target will be temporary, and I aim to take full advantage of by building up my exposure again. I accumulated Qualcomm all throughout 2023 for under $100 and then trimmed heavily as it reached towards an all-time high in 2024. I've been repurchasing the stock during any market corrections such as this. It is looking fair price now and its earnings growth is great, suggesting any correction in this stock will be temporary. I'm using any dip below $162 as an opportunity to accumulate more. Since the US election, Tesla has rose more than 70%. After purchasing this stock throughout 2024, with some purchases as low as $141, I've been trimming at $285, $330, $400 and $460. I do think this stock is extremely overvalued and will correct down sharply below $250, probably end up below $200, which will give me an opportunity to start accumulating again. My long-term view is still that I expect Tesla stock over the next 10 years to increase at least 10 times from that initial purchase price. Tesla is a high-risk AI stock which can be volatile. This timed correctly can give an opportunity to build a bigger position. The earnings have looked great, however, the price to earnings is overvalued, thus a lot of the growth is already within the price, and the market discounts the future. Therefore, Tesla is ready for a drop, regardless of what future earnings will say. During 2024, ASML has dropped from its all-time high of $1,100 down to a low of $645. I do find this a great AI stock to accumulate and then trim, building a bigger position each time. In my October market report, I thought there would be more chance of a downside surprise to this stock to present some buying opportunities, and I'm using my unique take on dollar cost averaging to build a position within this stock, as I believe by the end of 2025 it will trend to an all-time high. With my January market update, I expected it to have a good reaction to the earnings report, which it did, surging above $750, and it still looks on course to head above $800 during 2025. Over the course of 2024, Micron soared to $156, and the recent correction taking it down below $90. This stock is volatile, on which I look to capitalize on. Its share price did recover, but as I predicted in November, it has given opportunities to accumulate a gain below $90, which I've taken full advantage of to increase my exposure. Micron's earnings have been affected by the AI chip demand. Therefore, the stock price should move higher, maybe not above $150 anytime soon, though the earnings growth does look good for 2025, which should mean the stock rising above $110. This table shows my buy target for each AI stock, what my current average purchase price has been for the stock, and what my current exposure is of the asset. It's a balancing act between having exposure and overpaying for an AI stock. The easiest thing to do would be just invest and forget. I can't do that for stocks such as AMD. It's too volatile not to try and capitalize on this, which is why I buy in and out of AMD depending on what the stock price does, whilst building a core position, as I believe, regardless of what stock prices do, the AI megatrend is going to run for decades. Bitcoin has had a volatile start to 2025, firstly with people in long positions getting stopped out, and then people with short positions. People are still in extreme fear within the market right now. Another reason why you need to have focus when building wealth, otherwise you'll get distracted by this talk and sell your positions before the big moves happen. My October and November chart view of Bitcoin was to trend towards $90,000, which it achieved this to around $99,000. I expected it to correct towards $75,000, which it did during February 2025. In my January update, I believed we would get a fresh Bitcoin high, which we did, to around $109,000. I believe there will be another high during April and then a final high towards the end of 2025. However, I still believe that cryptocurrency is nothing more than a gamble, so my strategy will be to sell 70% during the high of April, which I'm expecting Bitcoin to reach over $120,000, and then wait and see what the rest of the year brings. This will enable me to be more focused, as most of the profits will be banked, and if Bitcoin moves towards $150,000 or $200,000, I'll still have some Bitcoin that I bought back at the end of 2023 for an average price of $37,000. With the Bitcoin bull market coming into its final year, I'm already preparing myself for the next cryptocurrency bear market. This strategy is still in progress, but I plan to begin small purchases at 40% below the all-time high, accumulating more as it drops, as the bear market is likely to last a year. At this moment, I'm not 100% sure if Bitcoin will drop 80% off its high due to ETF Bitcoin funds, and is more likely to drop by a maximum amount of only 50%. And lastly, do not forget that we're in a bull market that has at least another year to run, which means when AI stocks fall, it's time to get greedy, not fearful. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more tips on how I use AI stocks and cryptocurrency to build my wealth and beat inflation. Until next time, take care.